Oh, there's a little live button.
Hello, Halifax. Welcome back to the HaliBlab on, yay, a sunny Friday day. It's been rainy almost every Friday that I've been doing this. So yay for sun. I'm your host, Anita Kirkbride, and today I have two lovely guests with me. I have Erin Casey and Suzanne Lively. So welcome, ladies. Just a couple of things to get out of the way before we start chatting with you guys. For the people who are watching us here on Facebook Live, please interact with us. If you have questions or you want to share a story or you just want to tell us how hilarious we are, we love that. So please interact in the Facebook comments here. If you're watching this on, or if you're listening on the podcast, we'd love to have you join us live on Facebook for a recording. We record every Friday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Atlantic on the Twerk Communications Facebook page. So, two guests today for a special reason. I decided that the HaliBlab for December, which I know we're not there yet, was going to focus on some lesser known charities or charitable works. But these two ladies have some things coming up sooner than that, and I wanted to get them on so we could help promote that. So we have today with us Erin Elaine Casey. Erin is a writer, editor, and communication expert. For the past 5 years, she has run her own communication consulting business, serving the business, higher education, not-for-profit, and government sectors, as well as individual authors. Erin's mission is to spread the gospel of effective and clear communication so we can all connect with the people, services, products, and information we need. A couple of years ago, she started talking about periods and hasn't stopped since. In 2018, she founded Dignity Period, a campaign to help people with periods across Nova Scotia access the supplies they need. And we're going to find out why. And we have Suzanne Lively. Suzanne believes life is about living your values. While she does not profess to being successful all the time, she's created a life that reflects her effort. Hopefully, we can all say that. The owner of Lively Friends, she focuses on creating space for women to connect and build community. Their signature event is Lively Conversations, a monthly meetup where women gather to share their stories. And I think now meeting in multiple locations every month, if I'm correct. She began Friendly Divas in the fall of 2017. This initiative raises awareness and funds for period poverty. The goal is to sustainably end period poverty. So welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me today to talk about periods.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start with, what is period poverty?
Suzanne was first, so I'll let her go first.
Okay, Suzanne, what's period poverty?
Period poverty is when a menstruating person doesn't have enough money to buy menstrual products. And usually, unfortunately, on a reoccurring basis. So it's not usually, we've all can probably have had those months growing up where it's been a struggle, but this is usually people that this is happening to over and over.
Yeah. And they're having to choose maybe between buying their feminine hygiene products and what? Food.
Groceries, things that their children need, that kind of stuff. So 1 in 6 households in Nova Scotia is food insecure, which means they can't consistently afford nutritious food on a regular basis. So we could probably assume that they also can't afford personal hygiene products. So Nova Scotia is the province with the highest rate of food insecurity in Canada.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about this conversation just as I was prepping and getting ready and thinking, okay, I'm a fairly well-to-do mom. I mean, I'm not struggling for money, and I've got 2 teenage daughters now. And I'm thinking about when I go to the drugstore, or the grocery store, or wherever to buy this stuff, I think it's expensive. So I can't imagine if I had to choose between that stuff for my daughters and, dinner. Yeah. I can't even imagine having to make this choice. So those are the people that we're talking about today that we're trying to help.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I think it's important to note that it could be anybody. Like Suzanne, I'm sure you hear this too, but since I started my campaign just like just a few weeks ago, really, I've heard from women who are, graduate students, women who have been on income assistance because they didn't have a job for 6 or 7 months, or who are on income assistance now, women who grew up in poverty. It could be someone I promise, who is either struggling with this or has in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like, similar to homelessness. We don't realize how many people have experienced that because they don't talk about it, right? They come to work, they seem fine. We don't go around asking women, do you have enough stuff for your period?
No, it's a very taboo subject, I think, in general. I think that's changing, but imagine people don't like to talk about that as it is, let alone if you're deficient in products.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So tell me, how did you get started? We'll start with Erin. What was the trigger for starting this fundraising effort?
Well, so it's 2018 now. So Christmas of 2016, I was aware of period poverty generally, and in fact, I think we hear more about period poverty in developing countries. So I was aware of it, and I also was becoming aware that it was an issue right here in Canada. Mm-hmm. So I decided at Christmas time that I was just going to do a little collection amongst my friends and colleagues and so on. So I just put up a note on Facebook, and I ended up with, 3 or 4 recycling bags full of products. I thought, that was easy. So last Christmas, I had a pad party at my house where I just sort of was at home for an afternoon and invited anyone who wanted to come over to come and have a cookie or a glass of wine and drop off a donation. And I ended up with about 16 or 17 like big recycling bags full of stuff, with like kind of minimal effort. And I thought, okay, well, that was pretty easy. And also inspired by Suzanne, who started last year. And her approach too is really important around the sustainability, and I'll let her talk about that. But Suzanne also really inspired me to take it bigger and take it more provincial, and made me realize that this is something that people really want to talk about. So this year, I let a couple of friends convince me to take this provincial. That's Andrea Hewitt and Sheila Strong, who are my corporate volunteers from McGinnis Cooper law firm. So with their a little bit of encouragement, we did this, and it's just basically it's a Facebook page and an email address, and we now have 30 plus parties happening across the province where people are collecting and donating donations, pads and tampons, disposable products in my case. And we also do get some cups, which go right to Suzanne. Mm-hmm. So, it just kind of took on a life of its own. I mean, I haven't boosted a post. I haven't it's just people really want to help with this and are hungry to talk about it.
Well, it's, I think about my 2 teenage daughters and the fear of not having what you need when you need it. Right? No teenage girl, no woman wants to be walking down the street and not have access to the stuff she needs. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just, So it is a really interesting phenomenon.
And even just, if you just say to someone, just imagine, right? Just imagine for a minute that you don't have anything and you can't get anything.
Yeah.
Like every single person goes, like it's horrifying.
Yeah. And I think we've all had the experience where we've run out and you're in a public place over the years. But imagine if that's the entirety of your cycle.
Yeah.
That's the case.
I remember. We'll try not to go into TMI here.
Oh no, we have to tell periods.
Please do. Yes.
I just remember last month being at the Halifax shopping center. And being a couple of days early. So finding myself at the Halifax shopping center in the middle of a shopping spree, unprepared, and thinking, shit, what's going to happen here? Because, I didn't have anything. Now I'm in a position where if I really needed to, I could go buy it. But some people can't just walk in and buy it. Or some people need to wait till it's on sale. Mm-hmm. Or, need to go to the dollar store because they can only afford $1's worth.
Or what if they need to go to the food bank? And they don't have supplies, which Erin is helping with that, because that was a common theme I heard as well last year, where there weren't enough menstrual products in those locations.
That's interesting, because I would never have thought of donating menstrual products to the food bank. You think of food, right? You don't think of the other things that might be needed. So Suzanne, before we go too much further, what was the trigger for you to start Friendly Divas?
Well, I've been a Diva Cup user for about 7 or 8 years, and I started, Erin too.
I can't, but good for you.
Okay. And those of us that love our cup, as soon as you mention Diva Cup, that's the first response is, oh, I love my cup. Yeah. But I discovered them because I went off on a sort of environmental spree, and that's how I discovered what they were. And I'm saying that because not everybody actually still knows what a menstrual cup is today. So that's been, there's a huge educational component to what I'm doing. And that's one of those streams is, what is a Diva Cup? Yeah. And I can't, honestly, I've told this story so many times, but I don't remember the real clincher that kind of made me say, I'm doing this. I think it just occurred to me one day. I realized that people didn't have money. And I'm sure I've saw some things about like Africa, like developing countries like Erin mentioned. So the seed was planted somewhere along the way. I knew that they were doing this to help. But then I just decided if women don't have, it's like it occurred to me, one of those moments that you have that changes everything. It occurred to me, oh my God, if women don't have money for food and they don't have money for their kids to have food, what are they doing every month? And then it just occurred to me that a menstrual cup is such a perfect solution because of the longevity. So besides even the environmental aspect that I love and many others love, there's the reality that it's a solution that lasts long term. So it can last 2 to 5 years. And I thought, if a woman is having to go somewhere every month to get product, well, this would, one, alleviate that. And the stress of not having to worry about that every month for money, to me, just sounds amazing. And I thought it's the perfect solution. And then I thought, well, why isn't somebody doing it?
So you had a divine download.
Yes. And then I realized, I don't think it's that nobody was doing it purposefully. I just think it hadn't occurred to anybody to do it. And I thought, okay, well, I have the means to start something online. I mean, I'm not going to open up shop, but I can try this and see what happens. So that's what I did. I just tried it and it was successful.
And was last year your first year?
Yes. Fall of 2017, I did the first online campaign.
Right. Because I think I met you at the Center for Women in Business and you had just launched.
Yes. And the other thing was I had thought of it months before that. And I forgot about this piece till now. I kept telling people at parties like the Center for Women in Business and networking events, kind of like a crazy woman, but I think I just thought it was such a fantastic idea that if people knew, they'd go do it. and I was so busy, I didn't really have time. I hope somebody else would just hear it and take off with it, but nobody did. So eventually I said, well, I'm going to try.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, Suzanne, you've single-handedly gotten probably hundreds of women in Nova Scotia using these Diva Cups, not only women in need through donations, but also lots of women. Like I'm involved with Queen Pins, this is a networking fundraising group, and we helped Suzanne out at one of our events. And I don't know how many Diva Cups did we sell at that event?
Yeah, like at least 30.
Yeah, to all kinds of different women. So you've single-handedly probably prevented, thousands of disposable products from going into the landfill every month.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to say who, because I don't have permission to exactly tell this story, although some people are going to be able to figure out who I'm talking about. Somebody very close to me in my life was traveling to Africa or traveling to third world areas, and basically realized I'm going to be staying in houses that don't have bathrooms like we're used to. They don't have toilets, and they're going to have outhouses. And what am I going to do? I'm going to be there through multiple periods. What am I going to do? What do women do in those situations? So she started researching it, and that's when she discovered the Diva Cup. And that's probably about 6 or 7 years ago. That was the first time I'd heard of it. I didn't know such a thing existed. So we need to tell people. I'm telling people about it all the time, even though I can't quite bring myself to use it.
So Anita, I've been using a reusable cup since I was 21, and I'm now 48.
Yeah.
So these things have been around for a long time, and people are just kind of starting to figure it out. Yeah.
Where were they? Were they just not available in Canada, or were they hiding behind the prescription counter?
Well, I discovered since last year that the first place to sell them in Halifax was Venus Envy.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
And then when I bought mine, it was Planet Organic at the time it was called, and they were only in specialty shops. But in the last year, even that's shifted, and I see them in drugstores.
Yeah.
I've seen them at Walmart. Mind you, in Walmart, they were at a very bottom shelf. I don't think they were selling. I'm not sure if they're still there.
You know, I think I ordered mine by mail. My very first one I ever got was a mail order because it was even pre-internet, really. So I think they've existed like literally for decades, haven't they, Suzanne?
Shannon Hardy, I want to give her a shout out because she's really been out doing presentations for Friendly Divas to a lot of the training people and a lot of the younger people, telling them what this product is. I think she said the other day, this might never be exact, but they've been around for like over 100 years. They've been around a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're very popular in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the first time I've heard somebody say that Atlantic Canadians are a little bit behind in some things. So maybe this is what we need. We just need people talking about it more. We just need
and I think Suzanne and I talk about this a lot, that it would be wonderful if everybody was using Diva cups because of the sustainability and because of the cost savings, but they're not the solution for everybody for a variety of reasons, including, discomfort, maybe cultural reasons. Maybe you're a 13-year-old girl and you're not ready. So my teenage daughter says that's advanced level menstruation, Mom. So, there's lots of reasons why people might still want to use disposable products, which is why I started this, sort of a compliment to what Suzanne is doing. And I think too, another challenge can be if products are being distributed through something like a food bank, that, like, say, that male volunteer behind the counter at the food bank might not be comfortable handing out a Diva cup, or might not be prepared to do the education or whatever.
Let's talk about that for a second. This is a bit of a tangent, but why is it that people are so, especially men, why are they so embarrassed to do that, to hand them over, or to go pick them up for the wife who's sick at home with PMS or whatever? Because clearly, if a guy is walking through the drugstore with a package of pads in his hand, clearly it's not for him. So
I don't know if we can say that anymore.
Actually,
but yes.
No, you actually raise an important point, right, Suzanne? Suzanne and I often will say people with periods or menstruating people.
Yes.
Because not everyone who has a period identifies as a woman or a girl.
Mm-hmm. And that I've been corrected on that since I started. Many times I've learned a different language, which actually is not even, it was a tiny shift, as somebody pointed out. Instead of saying women, I just say menstruating people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great point. So I'm glad I asked it then, because now that I think about it, there are reasons why a man could be needing those.
Yeah. And sometimes for trans or non-binary people, accessing products could be a challenge for a variety of reasons. Like if you're, if you're not out, or, and also, there can be higher rates of poverty in those communities. So it is important to be inclusive about that. And,
absolutely.
So it's good that we got that in there.
Yeah, no, I stand corrected. I'm a firm believer in prove me wrong, because that means I learn, right? So absolutely. I just learned something.
And I'm really happy. We did go in the spring into McPhee Creative Learning Center in Dartmouth, and we had a closed discussion. It was with transgendered youth. So we distributed 20 Diva cups in the spring. So people are aware. Sometimes that's a better option as well for transgender. Not all, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. So that leads into my next question. Where are you guys distributing the stuff that you're collecting? Who's receiving it?
Suzanne, go ahead.
Okay, so I was grateful for this because I actually put my totals down on one piece of paper, and I just want to say this, that I just broke my water glass. So besides that, I've distributed, when this round is finished in the next month, we've distributed 622 Diva cups.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2018. So I'm really happy about that. And
in 2018 alone.
So the campaign that I did in 2017, we didn't actually distribute the cups until that was in the fall. I didn't get the money till that campaign ended December Yeah, 31st. So I distributed those cups technically in the winter of 2018. And I'm still in the midst of that. And a short answer to this. We have been to Sheet Harbor, down into Sheet Harbor, and I was just approached by a sexual health center in Sydney. So we'll be going there as well. Sydney, that's in Cape Breton, for those that don't know. And is my thing okay now that I sent everything fine?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, and we're going to Lunenburg. And we had a meeting. There's no simple answer to this. I have a list, basically. So what's happening, especially right now, I focused on the youth this campaign for the fall, and that is looking very different, meaning I'm not out there campaigning for money. That's about to happen in a month, but anyway, interesting timing. I've been more focusing on going in and meeting people and talking to them and trying to access their clients and see how we can work together, because I can't just hand out cups like you might be able to do tampons for some of what we already mentioned. The educational component, some people don't know what they are. They don't know why it would benefit them. And, it's challenging to access youth, period. A stranger coming in to talk about their periods would be bizarre. So, for example, this month we're going to Halifax, Citadel High. I'm working with a counselor there, and she's pulling together 30 to 50 kids. And there's a huge immigrant population, I didn't realize, in Clayton Park that could benefit for these Diva Cups, as well as what Erin's doing. So we're kind of sharing information and helping each other out where we can. And, we've been Phoenix Youth. I'm probably missing people. I don't know if I answered the question. So this campaign, I basically sent out a bunch of emails trying to access youth, and people are coming back. We're doing St. George's Youth Net in Halifax North. So right now we're going to Bedford, Halifax North. We're going to Take Action Society over in Dartmouth North next week. So yeah, we've been across the board, I think.
What's your total goal for this year? You've already distributed 600. What's your goal for the end of the year?
Well, I'm not finished at 600. I will be next month. And we're also doing the Native Council of Nova Scotia, which, by the way, is going across the province. So I'm really happy about that.
Great.
We met with them a couple weeks ago. So we'll finish distributing those, and I'm hoping still that people hear that we exist. There's many schools that I know that could benefit. Their students are living below the poverty line, that this is an issue. So I'm still hoping we're going to need 200 more Diva Cups by, I would say, the end of December into January, and that's about $5,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's at least we'll need probably 200 more.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Erin, where are you distributing your pad party stuff?
So at this point, I think we have in the sort of 30 plus range of parties and events. We've collected probably about 600 or 700 packages so far, but we're in the very early stages of actually knowing how much we have. So I've partnered with Feed Nova Scotia. And so they'd accept donations anyway, but they've kind of helped me get in touch with their 145 member agencies. So really, no matter where you are in the province, there's at least one agency close to you, and probably several, that will accept donations of pads and tampons. So, it's nice because people often, if they're having a party, they'll say, well, can I keep my donations in my community? Like someone messaged me on the weekend and said, can I keep my donations in St. Margaret's Bay? And I can say, yes, there's a food bank in St. Margaret's Bay, so you can do that. I'm also telling people, though, in some cases, people have a particular charity or group that they want to support that isn't officially a Feed Nova Scotia affiliate. And of course, that's totally fine. At the end of the day, right, I know that these products are going to get to the people who need them, and that's really all I care about. But it's nice to be able to say to people, here's a list, pick somebody. And it also allows me to say to people, you can take your stuff and go and donate it. So I don't have a house full of pads and tampons. Which I
don't have 17 recycling bags in your garage full of it.
So that's worked out really well. So I really appreciate Feed Nova Scotia's support, and they've been really great to work with around this. And because there's a lot of places, even if you don't have an organization in your community, schools need them. Right. Women's centers need them, supportive housing for women, transition houses, women who are incarcerated need these products, women who have recently come out of incarceration need these products, so there's I promise you there's some churches, like I promise you there's some organization in your community that needs this stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about how people listening can help. How can we, so you're having pad parties, Erin, where people can have a party, and instead of bringing whatever, they bring.
So pad parties can look and this is an important note, pad parties can look like almost anything. So it can actually look like a party. You can have a party and invite your friends and neighbors and colleagues and serve food, and people bring a donation. But I have had several people do online parties. So they might open it up for 2 weeks and they post on their event and post every time someone brings in a donation. So you can do it that way. You can have people just drop stuff off to you at your house or put a box in your cubicle at work. You can do it at your place of worship. You can even just stick it onto something else you're doing. So if you have book club and you have 4 friends coming over, like no effort is too small. Mm-hmm. And lots of people are doing that, just kind of sticking it on to something that they're already doing. And I will say, because you asked about men a little while ago, my husband is having a man pad party.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes, he is. In a couple of weeks, I guess. And he invited, I think, 30 or 40 guys, and he immediately got 12 positive RSVPs, so actually in my experience, men are very keen to help with this. I've really never had anyone go, ew, gross. I had a guy I didn't even know give me $20 in a superstore lineup last Christmas, like, because I had a big pile on the conveyor, right? And he's like, what are you doing? So I told him, and he gave me $20. Wow. I actually think men are looking for ways to be good allies and to support women, and looking for ways that they can do good. And this is a really concrete way that they can do that. So to finish answering the question, if you want to have a party, you can visit our Facebook page. It's at dignity_campaign, or you can email me at dignity_campaign@gmail.com. And we're just asking people to register their parties with us, because that way we can count them and at the end of this say, hey, look how awesome we did. So yeah, it's that easy.
Kim has actually, I think, dropped a link in the comments there with a link to your Facebook page. So people can check that out. Suzanne, how can we help Friendly Divas this year?
Right. Before we move on, I just want to say that it's, even if people are not in a position to donate at this point, and they're on social media, because a lot of us are, especially Facebook, is to spread particularly Erin's Dignity Period, and let people know that this is happening, because I have literally sent that link out to the lady that I was speaking with in Lunenburg and the lady in Sydney, because that doesn't mean they're necessarily hearing about this, and they desperately need products in those areas. Yeah. So this is a quick way for them to raise initiative. And I just say that because the one in Lunenburg specifically said that they had limited, because I approached her last spring, they had limited interest in that from that area, about 21 cups I'm sending down, but there's a huge problem, but they're not all willing to entertain the idea of a Diva cup. So I sent the link to Erin's Dignity Period. And I'm just saying that because I think that's as important, even if you don't have money, or even if you are going to have a period party, is to spread the message as much as possible, because that's a huge part of what we're both doing is, hey, this is a problem. And in the last year, it's one of the biggest things I've heard as well is, oh, I never even thought of that. I never thought that was an issue. I never thought of that. So I just wanted to say that, and you can do the same with Friendly Divas, just spread the message. And that's what's most important for me at this point. It'll be about a month before I have something. Well, after this talk, maybe I should just put it up now. I'll put up a link that if you want to donate money, I guess I wasn't as concerned because I was focusing more on reaching the youth. And I've been having a lot of meetings, and we've been really busy this month going in and doing presentations. So it was kind of my focus, but in a month, my focus is going to be money. So I'll put it up in the next couple of days.
And that could be a great Christmas gift. Like seriously, if you want to buy a gift for a friend, but she has everything, buy a Diva cup. There's lots of people now, you hear them saying, oh, I don't need anything. Don't buy me anything for Christmas. I don't need any more stuff. Like, this is a great alternative to buying more stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, in case because I know I forgot this, is that one of the things with the menstrual cups as well is that because they are $35 to $45 in the store, they're a barrier for somebody that's being challenged by period poverty to actually buy one, even though they know intellectually this will help them for 2 to 5 years. the barrier is high. So that's the other thing with the Diva cups. And even it's another reason why we're not just randomly dropping them off as well, because even for us to buy them to donate, it's costly. So
I paid $40 for one at Shoppers yesterday, Suzanne.
Oh yeah, why did you do that, by the way, Erin?
Oh,
this
here's
is
our
funny.
segue. So, okay. I was on the phone the other day with Beth McKay, who's of Bodacious Voices, who's having a party on the 22nd, and Suzanne and I will both be there. And if you want to find out about that, you can visit the Dignity Period Facebook page. So I was on the phone with Beth, and we were yakking about the event and about period poverty and stuff. And that morning, I had accidentally dropped my Diva cup in the toilet. Yes, it happens. Okay, so I dropped it in the toilet and immediately pulled it out and thought, oh, well, you have to boil it. That's how you boil them to clean them. So I thought, no problem. I'll put it on the stove and I'll boil my Diva cup. I got so engrossed in my conversation with Beth that I boiled it dry and fried it to ashes.
Oh,
so
while talking
about periods and period poverty, I destroyed my Diva cup. So I had to run out to Shoppers and buy a new one, for which I paid $40.
How many were on the shelf, out of curiosity? Did you notice, Erin?
I want to say I actually took a picture.
Oh, okay.
Because I was curious about that.
Oh, I was going to put Diva cups all behind me, a wall of Diva cups, and then I forgot.
Okay. So I can actually tell from the photo, Suzanne, there are about 5 or 6 of each size.
Okay, so I just asked that because I thought if there was a sudden run on Diva cups around town in the next month, there wouldn't be enough in the stores. So I'll definitely put up a page where you can donate if you want for Christmas, because you won't be able to find them all.
But let's see if we can make that happen. Let's make Diva cups the Cabbage Patch Kid of the year.
Okay, ladies. So if you go in a store and there aren't any on the shelf, you need to talk to the vendor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, because, I'm a social media consultant, I want to hear, how are you using social media to get the word out about these things, this issue and these events?
Okay, well, I'll just say for me, my online campaign last year was only successful because of social media. I mean, it did end up in the newspaper. I think you've been in the newspaper, Erin, as well this round. But that there's only certain people, we only have eyes in so many places, as you know, that even with social media. So the more people share, it just wouldn't have happened on my end without social media. Well,
and I would say for me, and I only do Facebook for this. Mm-hmm. Like, it's basically just me, right? Just like it's, Suzanne and I both have some help, but it's mostly just you monitoring the communication piece. Mm-hmm. So I just decided this has to be manageable. So I only use Facebook, and I've been shocked by the engagement. And to be honest, I'd never even done anything like that before. Like I learned how to draft posts and schedule them and upload videos. Like, I'd never done any of that stuff before. I just used it personally. So it's been great because I'm learning a ton just about what you can do with Facebook. But I can't believe the traction that it's gotten me. Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people see the videos and share them. And like I said, I haven't boosted a single post. And I don't say this to take a bunch of credit, because I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't. But what it is it's the topic.
Yes.
Like that people are just desperate to talk about this. There's so much, like, I want to echo something Suzanne said a minute ago. Like, there's so much shame and still attached to periods and menstruation and women's health. There's so much shame. And for me, just as important as the donations is the conversation and getting people to talk about this and getting periods out of the closet, because there's no empowerment without dignity, right? Like, if a woman or a person with a period has no dignity, has a sock in their underwear, like, I'm sorry, or can't go to work or can't go to school, like, there's no way to make your life better if you're like basically chained to your biology in that way. It's just not fair. So the ultimate goal is free stuff for everybody, Suzanne. Right?
That's right.
Well, speaking of that, what do you think about Mount St. Vincent University?
Yay!
So for those that don't know, Mount St. Vincent University, a primarily female-based university here in Halifax, made menstrual products free for all students, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Correct, because I haven't really followed the story very much, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, they did this. I think they announced it at the end of August, where they're going to provide pads and tampons free to all students who need them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
my son actually just started at the Mount this fall, so I was like, yes, that's awesome, and it's a great initiative. And I actually don't think like I should have this at my fingertips, but there's some data out there about how much it would actually cost the government to provide this stuff to women in need. And actually, Scotland is doing that. Isn't that right, Suzanne?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the country of Scotland is providing women and girls in need with, or people with periods with these products for free.
Wow.
Yeah, so it can be done.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know there's, I've seen at least 2 pad parties on Facebook. So people are using Facebook events to get the word out about those. One is Beth McKay's Bodacious.
Yep. So one that I really want to promote is the McGinnis Cooper one, which is on November 21st. McGinnis Cooper is having my corporate sponsor. So they're hosting a pad party at their gorgeous downtown offices at Purdy's Wharf. Beautiful view, incredible view, 4:30 to 6:30. They would like you to RSVP, which you can do through my page. The event is there. So that should be really fun. I'm making punch. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. Hopefully it'll be red. I'll just say that.
Of course.
Yes. And then there's a few other businesses like Willow Aesthetics Boutique, Aerobics First are both doing pad tampon collection associated with events that they've got going on, and Sisu Women's Self-Defense. So if you know Joan Helson, if you've ever seen Joan at an event or taken a self-defense course from her, she's doing a women's self-defense workshop on the 24th, which is almost full, but there might be a couple spots left. So yeah, lots of ways to take part if you don't want to do your own party, for sure.
Right. Well, and if you don't want to participate in somebody else's, maybe you've got a great group of friends that hasn't gotten together for a while, have a little pad party yourself and get together and eat some chocolate and wine and just enjoy and talk about periods.
Because every woman wants to.
That's right. Yeah. At every party that people have had, I don't even know if I've told you this, Suzanne, but every party cups are being donated.
Oh, good.
So it's totally cool to do that too. And if those cups aren't so if the party host doesn't have somewhere specific for those to go and they give them to me, they go to Suzanne.
Awesome. I love to see the collaboration because, it's a small enough city and you're working on the same problem. So why compete? You're helping each other. So I think that's just great. That's why I wanted to have the both of you on at the same time, not because I didn't want to talk about periods twice.
Well, what's interesting is that I found, and all women seem to want, this resonates with all women.
Yeah.
Not even just, I'm glad men are coming aboard, but somebody asked me what's the different reaction I've had from the genders. And I said, well, both, when I mentioned Diva Cups, they're like, or period poverty, if they don't know what that is, they're like, well, what is that? And I'll tell them the only difference I found is that with men, the conversation ended, and with women, it got more rambunctious and continued on. Yeah, right. Everybody wants to talk about it. All women get that this is an issue, I think, and everyone wants to help. Most people just didn't realize it was a problem to begin with. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been really great.
So to close this out, the best ways to help are contact Erin to host a pad party, or check out the Dignity Period Facebook page to see where there's one happening nearby that you can participate in, or stop by McGinnis Cooper on your way out of downtown on your way home on the 21st.
Yeah, Wednesday the 21st.
Wednesday the 21st.
6:30.
Probably just in time to see the sunrise over the sunset over the harbor from their office.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Their office is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And then watch for Friendly Divas to put out information about how you can donate to that campaign as well. Maybe the next time you're at the grocery store, I'm going tonight. Maybe the next time you're at the grocery store, the drugstore, you pick one up, and even if you can't get a hold of Suzanne, put it in the food box for the food bank, and help them out that way.
Absolutely. And do it year round.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts you want to share with us about the topic?
I don't know. I was going to say about the grocery store, a lot of us collect things like PC Optimum points. So watch for offers, watch for, I went and bought, I don't know, I think it was $40, $50 worth of product about a month ago, and I got half of that back in points. Nice. So then I can roll that over again and buy more stuff. So there are lots of little tricks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me. And thanks to everybody who was commenting. We did have a few people commenting in Facebook here. If you're watching on the podcast, write to me. Let me know if you need information. We'll be putting all the links on the podcast page as well. So thanks for joining us. If you're interested in being featured on the HaliBlab some week, we're now booking in January, but please send me a message and let me know. You can find me on all the social media networks or at twerp.ca. That's TWIRP. Or you can just email me at info@twerp.ca. We will see you next week, and stay social, Halifax.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.